There's one thing we all share. We could talk about the brevity of life for a baby that dies just minutes after birth. We could talk about the longevity of life enjoyed by an octogenarian. It just really doesn't matter. Young or old, healthy or not, we all have something in common. We all breathe. Go back to Adam. God gave him the breath of life, Genesis 2:7. Paul said God gives to all mankind life and breath, Acts 17:25. We all share in our need for air. There's something else we share. From our location, you probably already know. It's death. It's appointed for man to die, Hebrews 9:27. Unless Jesus comes, we're all going to quit breathing the air we share. But there's still something else we all have in common. Guess what it is? Can you guess? In addition to the breath that we breathe and the death we experience, unless there's a physical anomaly, every human being that has ever lived cries. We do it differently, but we all express feelings of grief. Some of us sob and shake. Some of us shed enough tears to, fill a lake. Some of us try to hide our pain, but shallow, disrupted breathing proves that we're a fake. We all cry. One way or another, we understand what David meant when he said, "Every night I flood my bed with tears. I drench my couch with my weeping." Psalm 6, verse 6. For some, sadness has become a way of life. From one trauma to one drama after another, there doesn't seem to be any relief. If you open their Bibles to Psalms 42:3, "My tears have been my food day and night," you might find written in the margin, "Been there, done that." Why does God let that happen? Why does God let us hurt? Some get deeply philosophical in their answer. He's God. You're man. Give it a rest. Some get theological. God is sovereign. He'll do what's best. Some get practical. This will help you. You can learn from it. It's a test. And there's truth in each of those answers. But I'd like to let God tell us what He thinks. Give us His answer. It's found in Hebrews 12, verses 5 and 6. Have you forgotten the exhortation that addresses you as sons? My son, do not regard lightly the discipline of the Lord, nor be weary when reproved by Him, for the Lord disciplines the one He loves. God won't make us face what we can't handle, 1 Corinthians 10:13. But He allows us to face what we can handle. He lets pain come into our lives because He knows it can deepen our relationship with Him. In this passage, we're the Son. God is our Father, and pain is the discipline our Father uses to instruct us. Pain will help us. It will help us see God in ways we could never otherwise. It will help us see God as a Father that is involved in our lives. It will help us connect and respect and love Him more than we ever have. For just a minute, think with me about the care of a father. A father. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 11 and 12, Paul wrote this, "Like a father with his children, we exhorted each of you and encouraged you." Look at that carefully and compare it to God's use of suffering as a father to help us. First, a father cares. Like a father with his children, we exhorted, Paul wrote. The word he used for exhorted paints the picture of a father coming to his child when his child calls for help. A father can recognize the voice of his own son or daughter above all other voices. No matter how many children are playing together, when he hears his little ones cry, his love instinctively drives him to that child's care. That's the way God wants us to see Him. Cast all your anxieties, cares on Him because He cares for you. 1 Peter 5, verse 7. A father also comforts. Like a father with his children, we exhorted and encouraged you. Paul went on to write. The word he used for encouraged might be illustrated by a daddy sitting to the side of his little boy's bed. They said their prayers. The little boy has been tucked in for the night, but he looks up into his daddy's eyes and he says, "Daddy, I'm scared. Would you tell me a bedtime story?" God wants us to see Him that way. He's a Father that will run to our cry for help. But then He'll embrace us and let us know there's nothing to fear. It's going to be okay. I'm here. He's the Father of mercies and God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our affliction. 2 Corinthians 1, verses 3 and 4. So we're going to hurt. We're going to cry. And we'll want to know why. We can't beat the answer God has given us, can we? We suffer because He knows it will help us draw to and be closer to Him. And that brings us to one more memory verse for our studies. Hebrews 12, verse 11. For the moment, all discipline seems painful rather than pleasant, but later it yields the peaceable fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it. With your study leader, think about the love of God as a father just a little more. Allow yourself to be lifted up by this wonderful idea. And I'll look forward to visiting with you again in our next study.